right, let's do it. What's going on, everybody? How we doing tonight? Everybody's doing great. I'm doing good. Thanks for everybody who has showed up tonight. Let's do the list. We got Lenore, hey, Lindsay, Rick, Bobby, Ricky Bobby, Ace, Pilot Rick, Hunter, the legend himself, Frederick Allen. How's everybody doing? I wanted to come on tonight. Just blow your speakers out. That's what I wanted to do. Let's change it up a little bit. Let's change up the music a little bit. So yeah, that was a little tease for the Araura soundtrack there. I can't get into too many specifics, of course, right now, but that was fun. I have been working all day on Araura, and I wasn't really able to go over to the gaming stream stuff tonight, but I figured what we can do is I'm looking for my Grand Stream Saga soundtrack here. There we go. Okay. Boom. The oldie but the goodie. So I figured what I would do is continue just working like I have been all day. Test out my streaming setup here for Araura, and come on, just talk the usual stuff we talk about over on the other channel. And I can just keep working on stuff. Lighting's a little bit different. I got this huge blowout light over my head here, but you can actually see the rest of the room pretty well. But yeah, I figured I would come on and we'll just do it like this, and we can chat and discuss whatever y'all want to do as I'm working on the things I'm working on right now. So this microphone stand does not want to cooperate with me. Oop. Let's see if I do it like that. So see, the microphone stand has to be a little bit out of the way so that I can work on what I need to work on. But why did that happen? Let's see. There, I don't know why that happened. Alright. Why is it doing that? I'm trying to listen to my whole soundtrack here. Nope. That's so weird. Anyway. Let's do that. Let's do that. Alright, cool. Alright, so yeah. I'm just going to be working on stuff, but feel free to chit-chat about whatever you all want. We got Tokyo Game Show coming up. We got all kinds of different things happening this week. We got end of this week. I wasn't excited at all about the direction and the messaging for Resident Evil Requiem as of late, but it was I've talked to a few people. I have seen a couple of things that I can't talk about, but I've seen a couple of things, and I've heard a bunch of stuff. A lot of the stuff I've heard has been coming out from leakers and stuff that you all have seen already, but I have also heard a few things I have not seen come out from leakers. And I'm very excited. I'm really excited about everything that's happening. Silent Hill F coming out. Very excited about that. I still haven't played Metal Gear Solid Delta. Snake Eater. Metal Gear Snake Eater Delta. Whatever the 5 titles in that name are. I still haven't played it. It's on my system. It's just sitting here. I've been so busy with everything I haven't been able to get to it. But it's gonna be wild. And look, for you Final Fantasy VII Remake Saga fans out there, could be a very wild week. Could be a very wild week, and we may not have to wait till this weekend. That's all I'm gonna say. We may not have to wait till this weekend. Think about what Square Enix or PlayStation likes to do sometimes, right? get ahead of a show, get ahead of TGS, get ahead of the Game Awards, something like that. Drop a state of play. Look, we got TGS this weekend. I think a lot of times these Sony events, these state of plays, a lot of times they are lacking, for lack of a better word. They're lacking, and we hype ourselves up, and a lot of times for no good reason. But I think this time around, this week, this one, I think there's going to be one or two exciting things at this thing. Will the whole thing be nonstop banger after banger? No. We know that's not what they do. And a lot of it will be ho-hum. A lot of it will be less than. But there will be a couple of exciting announcements there. I think there's going to be one surprise announcement. I don't know what that is. But from what I've heard, there is going to be a big surprise announcement at either Tokyo Game Show or State of Play. So, excited for that. Whatever it winds up being. I have had so many people spam my inbox saying it's gonna be Chrono Trigger, that they're finally announcing Chrono Trigger. I'm like, shut up, leave me alone. Stop. Square Enix is not interested in making Chrono Trigger. They're just not. They are not interested in the least in that title. So I'm like, whatever, I'm fresh out on that. But if it happens, great. I'm here for it. If it doesn't happen, I already knew that. So, but yeah, Resident Evil Requiem stuff is Resident Evil Requiem stuff. I think we're finally going to get the big blowout that we should have gotten the last time they dropped some stuff. They just showed that trailer with that long interactive cutscene with her and her mom and everything. I'm like, I would have rather seen that part in the game. I think that was a major misstep, because me and a lot of people I've talked to, it didn't make them more excited for the game. It felt like something that should have been exposed in the game. It felt like something you should have worked up to in the game to see the moment that her mom's taken from her and all that kind of stuff. That should have been an emotional impact from not just like a cheap thing to show because you don't have anything else to show right now. I felt like that was cheap. But it is going to be redeemed. We're going to be rewarded. So I'm excited for what this week's going to bring. I'm excited for the State of Play on Wednesday, or possible Wednesday State of Play. Possible Wednesday State of Play. And yeah, it's gonna be a great week. I'm excited. So I'm ready to get into it. So I'm gonna hop in here and I'm just gonna start doing some work, and I'm gonna keep an eye on the chat, and that's how these things are gonna roll when I'm on here doing this stuff. Appreciate everybody coming out and throwing me on, whether I'm in the background, you're lurking, that's working. You know how we do it. Alright. So what I'm working on right now is this is a shot that I started last week and I didn't really get back to it this week, or I didn't get back to it since. This is a shot where, so for those of you that watched the pilot, the rough cut of the pilot, the 20-minute rough cut I put up before we decided to go the new route, the whole flashback sequence where Omaku is decimating the caravan, trying to get to Anea here, that's who we have here, the last Auroran, he's trying to get to her, and he's trying to, that's the mystery, right? But in the pilot, the rough cut of the pilot, it was just a kind of a flashback, kind of a vision that Reese, the knight, the fallen knight that you see, with the cloak, and he's getting this vision, and he talks to the sorceress Endra midway through the show. It was just a vision he was getting. My original idea was that we would show this whole sequence during episode 2. Well, plans have changed, and now we're reformatting that 24-minute pilot that we had originally had envisioned into a 45-minute OVA, original video animation, like the OVAs from like the 90s and the early 2000s. So we're reformatting it into a 45-minute OVA, and this will now be the opening scene of the show, the full caravan attack. The Burgone soldiers, and this is a scene that isn't even in the comics. Like, I didn't even put this in the graphic novels. Like, I hadn't worked to it yet. I wanted to work to it, but I figure what a great way to pay off the opening of the show than to show something that we haven't even shown in the graphic novels yet. So that was a that was a point of contention between me and myself whether or not to do it. And then when we decided to go forward with this 45-minute structure for this OVA, I decided, let's do it. So that's what I'm doing. This shot right here, Anea, she is actually, the hair is blowing like this. It's going to be a full camera pan. It's going to be effects and lighting and fire and everything all around her. And she's actually tending to a fallen Burgonian soldier here that's trying to protect her, and she winds up trying to protect him, basically. You get to see the full scope, or not the full scope, but you get to see a true test of her power and her ability and what she can do as an Auroran, protecting this caravan against Omaku. I don't want to give too much away, but so that is now the opening scene of the show. Action, action, action. I didn't put a lot of action in that rough cut of the pilot because I wanted to have like a surprise, kind of like a thanks for waiting kind of thing. But I decided we're going to go with a lot of action in this 45-minute OVA. Also expose a lot of the story building and the world building in Araura. And it's really going to showcase all those things. So anyway, I'm going to get into working on it. I've got like a little side monitor here. I can see if y'all are talking or whatever. I kind of got like a little bit of a different setup than my usual gaming setup. So, but yeah, so I think these are going to be fun. I'm really going to enjoy getting into these and doing these. So without further ado, let's get into it. So I show my full screen. I'm working on an iPad here. That's what you see here on the screen is my iPad Pro, but like I will also, at times when I'm doing these streams, I'm doing effects, special effects and things like that, I'll have a full screen mode, like a full 16:9 ratio mode where I'm actually working on my desktop. I just prefer to work with my Apple Pencil and my iPad Pro as I'm doing like hand-drawn animation. And a lot of you all have asked about the backgrounds and stuff that I've done. We will do background streams. I will show my process for painting backgrounds. I used to suck at it. I used to be terrible at it. I'm still not great at it, but I will show my process for doing backgrounds. I will show my process for doing the parallaxing and After Effects and the filters and things like that I use to go from sketch to flats to full painting to layers to parallax to everything and how we do it. No secrets, no nothing like that. If y'all have questions about the animation process, how I do things, what I'm using, all that kind of stuff, I will let you know. Araura is a completely independent project. It's as independent as you can possibly get. It's just me. Like, I am the only one animating it, drawing it. I brought out a couple of people to do a few things, and it just didn't work out, so I kind of had to scrap some of the stuff they had done and just go back and do it myself. But so it's as independent gets. Just a guy in his studio working on the dream, basically. So, and we will also, when I'm working on comic pages, we'll be doing comic pages on here. We'll be doing animation. We'll be doing all kinds of stuff on here. So if you got questions, let me know. I'm just going to get right to work on things. Starting, let's get back here. I'm going to go here. I like to keep all my lighting on their own timelines. Like this right here is the shadows. I've got a timeline for lighting as well. Hair, take all that away. I've even got a timeline for the hair here. The shadows underneath the hair. So that when it moves with the hair. A lot of people asked how I did that. It's very simple. It's just everything's on its own timeline. So everything's completely controlled. When you're doing this, you want to have full control of every element that you're doing. When I first started doing this, the reason it's taken 5 years to do this is learning a lot of hard lessons. I'm not a trained animator. I didn't go to school for this. But during COVID, I figured it was time to start rocking, right? I was getting paid to stay home like most of us all were. Unless you're an essential employee, I was a bartender, so I wasn't essential. Some would argue that I was the most essential person during that time. But I was home for 6 to 9 months, dodging COVID, getting COVID, but I was getting paid to stay home, so I taught myself how to animate. And I networked with people, picked their brains, learned things. I'm still learning things. I'm still networking and picking people's brains, but we're doing it. We're doing the damn thing, and that's what's important. Just open it up and start doing it. So if you have any questions, like I said, just let me know, and we will get to it. So I'm going to close all this down for now. Actually, I want to bring that hair back. Boom, right there. So, all right, let's get started. I need to add a little bit. Okay. I'm going to go on my clean copy here. Actually, I do want to start a new layer. Okay. Because the reason I'm starting this on its own layer is if I want to go back and change these lines I'm going to add to the hair color, I can do it more easily if they're all on their own layer. The thing I like about using Clip Studio for animation is that I can pop everything into its own folder, and it's still one cell. That's like for the first 6 to 9 months of animating and teaching myself animation and all that jazz was really just trying to figure out what program I wanted to use, how I wanted to go about it. And then I settled on Clip Studio just because for the way I want to work and for the way I like to work, it just makes the most sense. And I already used Clip Studio for making the Araura comics, so it was a kind of a no-brainer for me. I can do everything in one spot. Okay, so I'll duplicate this layer. I'll open 1A, which is my in-between layer, and we're just going to go up the row. So I'll put this right under marker. We'll come up here. I'm just going to, boom. But I will turn on, let's see here. You know what I want to do? Actually, I want to scratch that. Come down here. I'm just gonna delete that layer. Boom. Then we're gonna make. We'll just make a new timeline. I'll call this extra clean lines. Boom. There we go. So now I'll just come in here and just make it its own cell, and that way I don't have to do a whole bunch of other stuff. We'll just come here and do what we were doing earlier. Add some texture lines. Give everything some depth. Ooh, that was a bad one. And I like to use the free pencil as much as possible. As absolutely much as possible. Because I'm going for that mid-90s to mid-2000s anime look. They did not use a whole lot of vector tools and stuff back there. There's a lot of hand-drawn art and animation, so I want to keep that as crisp and clean as possible and as as hand-drawn as possible. There, alright, much better. New animation, so we will turn on onion skinning, and that's why I wanted to go with that, because now I can see my onion skins. Nope. Have a little variation. Show a little depth with some of the other areas, and you kind of have to eye it a little bit. Even though you've got all these great tools at your disposal, you still kind of have to have the artist's eye and also know the physics of the shot that you're putting together. Because, you know, where's the hair lighter, where's it heavier, is it going to move faster, is it going to move harder, you know, that kind of thing. So it's like right over here, the speed of this hair moving is a little bit faster because it gets a little wild here in a second. Alright. New cell, I'll put you back here. And here's the thing too, like, you don't have to go crazy with this stuff when you're doing this, because the eye can only process so much. So you can give yourself a little grace when moving through these cells and these movements. Now right here, for these longer pieces, I will partake of little vector tool action. Now that I've got established what my movement lines are. I don't want that. There we go. There we go. There we go. Switch back to my pencil, my pencil. Did I miss? I think I got them all. Okay, so if we turn on onion skinning, we can kind of see how that's starting to look. And what I'll do here in a little bit is I will actually change the color of these extra clean lines. Makes sense for now. And just doing a whole lot of this. And every now and then you want to make some variation, like you don't want to keep the lines solid throughout, you want to kind of start to break them up a little bit to show movement within the mass of the hair. Don't want to feel robotic or too stiff. There's a good spot to do that. Okay. Now making those lines kind of connect right here, because this hair right here, see right here, it's kind of together down here. And then as you move, it starts to kind of separate. Now it's branching toward this right here, a separation line right there. So you want to make sure that you're keeping that in focus as you're going through. Okay, how are we looking? Not bad, not bad. I'll put you there. Oh, wait. Put you there. Now that the hair speed is starting to pick up, I can kind of start to get a little more out of control with the lines, and it'll make sense. Also adds more speed and movement to what's going on there. Okay. Thank you, Arixa Meraki. Appreciate you. Hope you're having a great night. Oh, let's turn that off. There we go. Okay, that's moving how I want. And a lot of you have messaged me before, like on some of the comments for some of this stuff, is man, what effects do you use for fire and all that kind of stuff? I actually draw the fire. I actually paint the fire, and I draw it, all that kind of stuff. So we're actually going to do that too in this stream. When I get her where I want her with the lighting and stuff like that, we are going to come through and start working on all of that stuff. So never you worry about that. Okay. See, is this the comeback swing? Let's see. Yes, this is the comeback swing. Okay, so now we want to start kind of bending our hairs this way because we're swinging back. I thought I needed to erase like a little spot. You can't see it on there, but it's like a little bitty piece of chocolate here on the screen. Little bitty fleck of chocolate that was on the screen, so I had to brush off. I was sitting here going, I was like, oh man, I can't erase that. Oh, it's a piece of chocolate. That's why. Raise the pig confirmed. Chocolate on his iPad. I don't like this one right here. I want to get rid of that one. And see, that's the great thing about having all these on separate layers too. So I can go crazy with the eraser tool, as you see here. I can go crazy with it. I'm not going to hit anything but what's on this timeline. So that's nice. Okay, so if we go from frame 1 to frame 8, where we're at right now, there shouldn't be a whole lot of deviation, but there is some. So need to get it back there. So we will. Back to Nueve. I like to turn that on too, just to kind of see where I'm at with my shading as I'm going through here. So everything is like, just kind of like aesthetically making sense. Okay, and one more. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to stretch this out a little bit, and then I'm going to put one right here. So when I go here, I can see where we started and where we are and what needs to happen, so I can make it connect a little bit better. So now I'm going to start working things kind of where they're at, but kind of going back to where they are. And that's kind of the secret of doing like a animation where that loops over and repeats. So you'll see what I'm talking about here in just a second. That one is no good. There we go. I was kind of close on that one. I knew that one was coming. I was kind of close on it. Okay. Yeah, we weren't super far off. So okay. So there we go. So now I'll come in here and I'll delete that frame 1. There we go. Now if I hit play, it's not too bad. You know, that's actually kind of what I want after I get the lighting in there. Just a couple little tweaks I need to make, but yeah, I'm actually fine with that for right now. I'm sure I'll tear it apart later, but I'm fine with that for right now. So all right, I'm gonna take a quick little break and get a refill on my drink, and I'll be right back. All right, we're back. Here we are. Thank y'all for patiently waiting for me to come back. 20 viewers, what's going on? Hey, how we doing? That's common on my gaming channel, uncommon on my Araura channel. I appreciate you all. Very, very much so. Oh, I got the hiccups now too. Excuse me. All right. Back to it. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do a thing here. I want to get things organized. So I'll zoom out here. You can kind of see all the work, the detail that's kind of gone into this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of these. And then I'm going to put them all in a folder. Hang on a second. That's what I meant to do. Yeah, so desktop to iPad is a little bit tricky, so I'm just going to call this Anea folder. And this is the power of Clip Studio for me. So you put everything in here, boom, there's Anea. So everything in there that we just did, that's all Anea. You can turn that on, you can turn that off, and it's so simple to break things down. So now what I want to do is I want to start a new folder. I'm going to call this FX. So now in here what I'm going to do is there are different layers of fire that are going to be on top, some that are going to be in the background. So I'm going to work on the foreground before the background. So what I want to do is I want to go in here. And again, this is under FX. I'm going to call this fire. Foreground, I say FG dash fire. Done. FG fire. So, and what that'll be is I can come in here now and start just adding layers. So if I want to come into FG fire, new animation cell, boom, bring that over, extend that, okay, FG fire, frame 1, frame 2, and so on and so forth. So, let's see, get into all that later. So, naming all the different cells in these and naming all your folders and cells, it's so handy because you don't want to get lost, because the way I animate and the way I do post-production and stuff like that, I export everything as a PNG sequence. It gives me full control over what I'm doing with the sequence. I can change the frame rate in After Effects. I can change it from 30 to 24 and back, and if I've got a PNG sequence, it keeps everything intact. It doesn't destroy anything until I start editing the pixels. PNG sequence, I keep the pixels intact as I want them. Unless I smooth them in After Effects first. Sometimes I will do that because the smoother I have on After Effects right now doesn't work too good, so I've been smoothing and then exporting my PNGs, but that's a conversation for another time. So, how do we do fire effects? So what I like to do is my frame 1 is just empty. New animation cell, frame 2, because I want it to loop with some cohesion. So if it loops just blamp, 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 you know, you can tell that there is a miss in there. You need a little dead space in there. So what I do is I just go in here and grab my that, and then sometimes people will just use like black or whatever, and you can do that, and I have done that. But what I like to do now is I like to at least try to get the color that I want kind of close. So I'm going to go down here to my paper layer, start a new one. I'm gonna get just like a neutral gray. I'm just gonna fill it so that when I see what I'm doing here, come up here and get this color I want, then I can just start adding these flickers. So boom, I can just start doing that. Then frame 2. Boom. I'm going to do this on ones actually. So new animation cell will make it real smooth looking. So now I'm going to have, and fire is so like unpredictable. You can kind of make it look however you want. You just have to make it flow fluid. So just make sure the direction and the speed and everything is pretty consistent. So how are we looking so far? Let's see, turn that. Okay. Here. Now these markers, these cell markers and stuff that you see here, I don't do those for my effects just because my effects are very simple and I don't need to keep track of them. Like I'll do shapes and basic illustration for effects, and then I'll use blurs, I'll use outer lightings, and then I'll go into After Effects and I'll time them differently, and I'll mash them on top of each other, make them, give them the kind of fiery, y'all have seen my Araura stuff, you know, the fire and the flames and everything. That's how I do it. And I don't need to marker those, so that's why you don't see a lot of that. Whoops, wrong item. I like to get a little nuts with the effects sometimes, get a little, you all know me, I get to be a little extra with things sometimes, so I like to, oh, that fire looks like it's separating, I'll separate it and break it apart and have it floating through this, like something that your eyes are going to see for like 1/10 of a second. And sometimes I put a lot more work on myself that way, but I like to think that I'm putting in that extra work, and it pays off by having something that looks really good. And fire grows very fast, so, and I also want it to look like it's blowing past her, because this shot is going to almost be like a panning, parallaxing shot when the background is done with the background flames and stuff. The foreground flames need to look like they're going around her. So for this shot to work, I have to make it, not just take it and pan it, but I also have to draw it like it's moving. Like a lot of times when I was researching this stuff, it was like, just draw this and move it with the camera in post. You can do that, but you can go a step further by seeing it in motion and drawing it in motion. Then when you go to post, you can actually do things to affect the look to a greater degree and give it more of a cinematic look. If you actually animate the movement in there and not just rely on post-production camera effects and stuff to do it, you can give it a more cinematic and a more professional look. I love doing these little fire curly cues like this because I really feel like that has that 90s anime aesthetic to it because the fire was always like whipping around, and I always loved that look. Okay. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, baby. There we go. There we go. Let's shave that down. Oh no, 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 not like that. Shave that down. Boom, like that. Missed this. Okay. Definitely want that flame to continue off the page. Like that. Okay. There we go. Okay. Yeah, there we go. That's kind of working. That's kind of working, babies. That's kind of working, babies. Put a few random flecks in there. There we go. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I like how fast that's moving too. It looks chaotic. You want it to look, I want it to look chaotic. I want it to look like out of control. And I don't want her hair to be out of control. I want her to come off. I want her to look steady and under control. I know the physics doesn't make sense, but it's a storytelling thing. I want the air around her to feel like it's not as chaotic as what's going on around her. I want her to feel special and in control. That's the whole point of the scene. So that's why her hair's not going crazy and the fire's going crazy. I want her to feel more grounded, more in control. Just a couple more. Okay. I'm actually okay with that. Okay, I'm actually okay with that because, like I said before, that will be exported as its own timeline, its own PNG sequence. So when I bring that in, I'll be able to time that out differently than what you're seeing with her. So I could even make it go faster and then keep looping it, you know, aside from her. Like, it doesn't have to be on the same timeline with her. I can take that sequence and do whatever I want to with it, with the fire and her, but it will still match up at the same time. So we are going to make another. Wait. Oop. Make another. How do I want to do this? I'm trying to think. No. No. Okay. Let's do it this way. There we go. Then I'll just come in here. Trash all those. That way it keeps the same timing and everything. Okay, got it. Okay. Good to go. Now, I'll do this a little bit differently. Sell. Whoa, about not by drinking the floor. That made my jump. So now, let's add some new spice to this. There we go. Trying to find my, here we go. Here's what I want. Drop one. Okay, perfect. All right, so now I'll come in here. I want two colors. I want that and I want that. And I want the sprinkle those together. So our brush size. That's too much. Okay, so turn my brush size back down. And I want to create embers in here. But I also want to change the name of this. There we go. So now I kind of see where things are. Now, when you're doing these, you don't have to kind of be beholden to what you did before, because things are going to move around like crazy. Adjust my particle and try a couple things here real quick. Adjust particle size and adjust brush size. There we go. Okay. But you do want to make sure there's some cohesion. So like when I turn this back on, you know, the embers will be over top, but once we finally blur all this stuff in After Effects, it'll blend well. It's going pretty good so far. There we go. Now we want to start lightening it up a little bit. Okay. Anyman095, thanks for the sub. Appreciate you. Hope you're enjoying the stream. Feel free to ask any questions. Alright, so let's play it. Oh yeah, yep, that's what I'm looking for. Now, we will go down here. Actually, I'm going to change the name of this to FGFX. Come down here and start another folder, BGFX. Okay, and we'll come in here. So let's say BG Fire. Okay. And what's cool about this is we will eventually drop a background into this, but all the effects and everything will be done. And all I have to do is do some color coding to the background in Premiere or After Effects to change the hue and everything. And then we'll already have the fire and stuff going in the background, so that'll be cool. So for this background fire, I want to get a saturated, kind of dark orange. Okay. No, I don't want that. There we go. Maybe something a little bit darker. I think we go right there. And this one we're going to go on twos. Save that real quick. Alright, so let's do a couple things real quick. Oof. Okay. Turn the opacity back up. Turn this opacity down. Here. Oh, that's the A1 thing. I was like, what is that? Hey, the Aurora TikTok's starting to blow up. Appreciate everybody that's following me over on TikTok. Really appreciate you. Let's see what. So we are. All right. Sweet. Thank you to everybody who has been following me on TikTok, who's been following me on Instagram over at Araura. Official accounts for both of those. Much appreciated. Let's see here. Just went over 100 followers on TikTok. I know it's not a big deal. We just started putting work into it, so we got there pretty quick. I'm pleased with that. We are right at 700 followers on Instagram. And again, you know, we were just under 500 yesterday. So we just started putting up character bios and art process and animation process things. So really appreciate everybody getting on board. This has been great. All right, to continue. Wait, what did I just do? It's on the wrong cell. There we go. Oh yeah, there we go. We'll make that one. We'll put a new one here. New animation cell. That wasn't fluid enough right there. There we go. So now we kind of start to fix that. That wasn't a good keyframe. Alright, so let's turn this back on. Where's my opacity? Oh, all of my opacity was dropped from there to there. Okay. Turn that back up. Do there, and there. Now let's try it. Okay, now we can go to foreground effects. And I think I'll drop this whole thing down just a little bit, see how that looks. Oh yeah, there we go. Now that will all get like blurred, so the edges won't be sharp and all that kind of thing. There'll be like a flash of light and stuff in there, but yeah, that's pretty much what I need to look like there. Now that we've got this, we can, okay, we're gonna turn that off, we're gonna turn that off. Go back into Anea here. Now let's go here, we'll go new animation layer. I'm going to call this Anea lighting. I think C was my shadows. D will be my lighting. Anea lighting. So we'll come here. Actually, you know what? Let's put this up here. So that way I can actually clip that onto that. Make it a clipping mask, so that way everything in that animation folder, every single thing in the animation folder, the light from the clipping mask will only be accessible to what's in that folder, and it works in Clip Studio. The cool thing, that's another reason I like this as an animation software, it's super powerful. Like anything in this folder right here, this will clip to it. So for example, like let's just do like a goofy kind of, here, let me see, where we at, right here, new animation cell. I can just circle this, drop white onto it, and we can hit play, and as you can see, you're not seeing it anywhere else. It's awesome. It's a killer software. It's grabbing everything in the Anea, every timeline in that Anea folder. It's grabbing every one of them, not just one of them or whatever. You can do it that way, but for my purposes, to hit lighting and to hit it properly, I want it to be grabbing everything in that folder. So we will kill that, and we'll just start getting our lighting in. But what I will do is go one here, okay. I'm going to have two in each of these. I'm going to have And here's another reason I love Clip Studio and using Clip Studio for this. Animating rain, it's not as tricky as you think. It's not as tricky as you think. Like, you can set up processes. What I'll do though is I'll get a number of like very straight angled lines, however I want to angle them, and I'll like copy a strip of them to where they overlap each other and they're kind of offset from each other, and then that'll be one layer. And then I'll just take like 6 different variations of that layer and move them here, move them there, move them here, move them there, because your eye isn't processing this, just the same lines moving back and forth like this. Then you blur it intermittently, and it just looks like rain falling down. That's how our eyes are trained to see rain falling down anyway. So that's how I do it. There are also processes within After Effects that will simulate rain. Those are getting better, but when about 1.5 years ago, when I was animating that prologue scene for Araura, or that opening scene with the rain and everything, it wasn't up to standard then. So it's probably better now though. They're always working on that stuff. So the top layer here I'm going to call light line, and then this one is going to call, well, highlight. Is that nihilite? Okay. Let's spell it right. It's supposed to be called highlight. There we go. So now for light lines, I'm going to come in here. I'm just going to grab like a very stark color. Go on light line. We'll come up here. I'm going to hit all the areas I want. Okay. I'm going to keep this kind of simple at first. Actually, we'll just make this for her hair right now. I'll tell you why. Because her hair moves and her body underneath does not. So what we'll do is we'll go in and we'll do the same treatment for the body lighting and give it its own layer, so that we can bring it in its own PNG sequence and we can affect its variance as we want. As a matter of fact, let's do something else I want to do here. So, if I do this, put hair, which I should have done this to begin with, so forgive me. Put hair on its own spot. Come in here, grab this, give hair its own little layer here. Everything else down. Boom, there we go. Now this clipping mask is only beholden to this. So we'll actually change this to Anea hair lighting. Boom. And now we have even more control over our final animation. Anea base. And people are like, is it easier to animate this? It's probably way easier to animate this stuff than action, right? Wrong. I actually find action easier to animate because you're keeping up with fluid motions and stuff, but when you're having a real storytelling shot like this, it's so detailed, and you have to with shots like this, it looks like it's not as hard to animate, but when you look at how you gotta make the hair move and all the details have to be in sync with each other and everything has to look right, With action, it's not like that. You're not doing this heavy shading and shadows and stuff unless you're doing like cinema quality, like animation. You're a little more forgiving with the lighting and the details, especially when people are moving fast. You know, your eye can't process every little detail on them when you're moving fast, and that actually is key when you're animating. So I personally find shots like that's why you'll see me working on shots like this all the time, because I find shots like this to be harder. Like, I like doing action, but action for me is not as challenging as doing shots like this and making them feel right when you're seeing them in motion, if that makes sense. I get that question a whole lot. So we'll go back to 1 here. We're gonna hair lighting, light line. There we go. That. There. All right. There's that one. So now we'll go. Now, by putting the folders in there, the folders are their own cell. So when you go to hit new animation cell right here, you'll notice it creates the exact copy of the cell before that, but it doesn't have any of the content inside. You can have folders of folders with stuff inside. You can do that every single time in Clip Studio, and it'll do the same thing. It'll create your folder hierarchy or your cell hierarchy, however you had it set up, but it will wipe all the content that's in there. So you start fresh with the way you've got your cell laid out for each one. That is brilliant. That has saved me so much time once I figured it out. I didn't come out of the box like that. Okay, so we're gonna continue with our here. There. As you see, it goes underneath that because the way I've got this drawn, the hair stuff, it doesn't touch with that. So I am essentially drawing under it, but what it is I drew this right here, then I drew that underneath of it. So there's nothing right here. It's all right in here. There. And I'm getting ready to change the music up here in a second. I know you're probably all getting sick of listening to this. I didn't think too much about that. Like, I've got the score saved on my computer for Aurora, but I don't have it saved in my Apple Music, which is what I use to play my playlists when I'm streaming. Okay, on to the next. New animation cell. Let me go to my onion skin settings, and I want to increase the opacity here so I can see that. Yeah, there we go, a little bit better. And once you get good with like your folder hierarchy and all that kind of stuff, then you really start to see how fast you start working. I work incredibly fast now. If I'm not streaming and talking at the same time. Like if I get in a flow and I'm not streaming, that's why I'll disappear for days at a time from the gaming channel, because I'll be in such a flow. I'm just cranking through work like crazy. And when you hit that stride, you hit that flow, you don't want to get out of it. Let's see. Okay, that's what I thought. I missed a few things here. There. Okay. All right. Alright, so I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to set up a new playlist here. Give me just a second, I'll be right back. Now we're talking. This is Renzia's theme from the show. I'm so excited to get to the point where you get to hear it. His big battle moment at the end of the OVA. Really, really stoked for this. And I remixed this track myself. I didn't record it, but I remixed this track myself. I'm really proud of that. Gives me hype. This gives me hype. This was originally the opening theme. I say originally because there are some developments happening there, so stay tuned for that. Things might be happening. This is the theme for the Fallen Guardians of Marseille. Y'all just want me to tell you the whole story now. Just tell you the whole story. I'm terrible at keeping secrets. Like, I just want to just tell the whole story to everybody right now. But I won't. I refuse. I will be strong. this is Aenea's theme, The Last Auroran. So we have called the remix of this track the girl we're drawing here on the screen right now. This girl. Her. The thing I love about writing this character is, yeah, she's powerful and everything, but she understands her flaws and where she needs to learn, you know, to be this light for this world. And this ragtag guy named Renzia that she kind of is kind of her rock, you know. They kind of understand each other. They're not like a romantic relationship. They're more kind of like a brother-sister pairing almost. They understand each other's flaws, and they're kind of each other's rock in hard times. Like the world looks up to her, and the world looks down on him. But the two of them, they're kind of each other's kind of light in the darkness, if that makes any sense. And she looks very chipper and perky and powerful and like the cool chick that you want to hang out with and everything. But inside, she really feels and believes that she's just not good enough, that she's just not going to be what the world needs, and she's ultimately going to fail everybody. That's why she's not really taking up the mantle to this point. And Renzi is kind of the one to kind of punch her in the shoulder and be like, you need to pick your ass up and go. You know, you need to stop feeling so sorry for yourself and get up and move and go. And then she does the same thing for him. So this theme really speaks. When I heard this and it was presented as a possibility, we remixed it, and it really spoke to me as like this is her. This is her character, you know. And I'm really happy with the way that came out. Now, let's see. Okay. What happened? There, I hit a key. With my, I elbowed a key. I was really feeling that. Alright, so, let's see. Well, no, I'm going to go a little bit deeper here. Check it. think I like it. We'll see if I like it when I'm done with this next part. So now what we'll do is we will hide the Enea base, and then we'll dim this here so that we can kind of see this a little bit better. I'm just going to go with white. We can change the color later if we prefer. Those of you who read the Araura comics, I don't want to give anything away, but this theme is like one of the parts I'm really excited to show. So we got everything on that pass, so we'll turn off that, move on to the next. This is Nesbin's theme, played by the always fun Austin Matthews. Alright. You know what? I want to put some light on. A lot of fun. Thank you all for hanging out with me, guys. This is fun. I could do this every single night. I mean, I'm animating every single night. I mean, come on and live stream with you all every single night. This is fun. I'm having a good time just hanging out with you all. Jacked up. There we go. Alright, we're back. We got it back. moving right along now. Got back up. I'm really liking the way this is kind of turning out so far. So, couple left. Might get into some composition tonight if we have time before I start to pass out and need to go to bed. That's how it usually goes every night around here, though. Fall asleep at the desk. Usually about 3:30 in the morning. Erase that a little bit there. This is one of the themes that plays for the kind of overworld scope of the Darklands. It's usually when there's some, like in the OVA, there's a bit of a mystery afoot with the kids that Renzi is reluctantly deciding to help out by the end of the show. There's a mystery going on with them, so whenever you see them kind of out in the wilderness or whatever, this is kind of what's playing. Last one. Here we go. Nope. That's a little better. We'll keep it. We'll keep it. Like I said earlier, the eye will see it for like 1/10 of a second, so I'm not going to beat myself up over a few errant lines. Lighting, unless it's really bad. And I have had nights where everything I do with this lasso tool is like really bad. And after that, I usually just move into some boring admin work until I go to bed. Some nights you just don't have it at the art desk. You shave off that little bit there. I think that will do it. Oh, that for this part. So let's see. Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of liking that. What do you all think? Okay. Foreground effects in there. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, there we go. There it is. that off. So we're just kind of come in here. And lasso. Well, there.
So you dance
Okay.
like heavy
So
smoke.
let's do a new.
Have you fixed that treasured heart that's so broke? Everybody's getting
We'll just call this one Skin Out.
to the oven someday. I'll set you free, I promise.
Ow.
There's no time to lose.
No, I might try. I might just try a little airbrush actually. You know what? I don't want to do that. Skip that. Try airbrush. Got soft airbrush. What else? There. Because what we'll do, and I will do a trick on this, I'll show you that here in a minute. them in a folder. We'll call this lighting. Of course, we know it's base lighting because it's in this folder here. So then we'll take all three of these, move them in there. Boom. That's our clean copy. If we move that, we just got a light on it. So clean copy there. Now, on top of this layer, I'm going to bring another layer up. And we're just going to sample this color here. We're going to do a lighter version of it. We're going to fill the layer with this. Thanks. I just shook my table and messed up. I really appreciate it. So now, what I was saying before I get my table here, we are going to fill this layer with that bright orange. But what we're going to do is we are going to get this whole lighting layer right here. This whole lighting layer. I'll just do this. There we go. Oh wait, you know what? That's not gonna work. Hang on. Might not be able to make that work. What's up, Chris? It is the late show. Gotta get that late in while animating. There we go. There. Okay. That should work. It's not though, so I need to figure that out. Anyway, that's not a big deal. That's just another way that it can be done. Let's do that. Set that to screen. Drop the opacity so you can just kind of use your timeline, highlight it as you will. But anyway, so she's got lighting. And we can take that, we just keep that down. So now we hit play. We've got the fully fleshed out and rendered scene here. So the other thing that I've told you all about that I like to do is I'll come in here to, let me shut her down, background effects. I'll select this whole background fire here and I'll go to filter. That's not letting me do it. I can do it on my Mac. I can't do it on my iPad. It's not powerful enough. So, well, we can just do this. Go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. And we'll make that what looks good. About right about 50. 50. There we go. Filter. This sure is a sucky way to do this part. But anyway, I'm not going to do all that. I'll do it on my Mac. I'm doing that later. But you all kind of see what I'm doing. You can blur that stuff. I can take these things out as one timeline, export them as PNG sequences, and then I can just kind of how's that? Is that better? So I can export all that stuff as sequences and bring it in. So this animation's done. So this animation is essentially done. We're only going to see her for, let's see, this is 20 frames. So yeah, we're only going to see her for like a second and a half. So like 36 frames. So we're going to see this loop 1.5 times. Roughly 1.5 times. Well, let's see, it'll probably loop twice. Slowly, but we'll blur everything out and all that kind of thing. But yeah, so this sequence is done. I just gotta drop the background in, and that's a wrap on that. We'll have that done. And so tomorrow night, I'll probably be, in the rest of this week, I'll probably be working on action sequences I'm trying to finish up and get wrapped up. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. I appreciate you all coming out. This is great. Like, I want to do these a lot more. Because I like I said, I have to be in here doing this anyway, so why not just have y'all come along for the ride, you know what I mean? So, but anyway, I am going to call it a night. The music is too loud. Alright. There. But I am going to call it a night on that. For those of you that are fans of the gaming channel that watch this, I am going to live stream State of Play, TGS stuff this weekend. I'm going to try to do it while it's happening, but if I'm working or if I've got some other admin stuff I have to be doing at the time, I'll get on it later on that night. So, but appreciate all of you all. Thank you all for coming out. This was a lot of fun. I really had a great time hanging out with you all and doing the damn thing live here with all of you all, for all of you all. So really appreciate you. So you all have a great night. It's late. I still got about another hour of admin work I've got to do. I got to do some emailing. I've got to email a couple people back on some things. I got to tie down some social media stuff. Links to everything are in the description for this video. Please join the Araura Discord. Check it out there. Follow on all the social medias, TikTok, all that kind of stuff. Putting character bios and lore videos coming next week. Character bios this week, lore videos are next week. We got a lot of stuff happening. Really building Araura, really getting things going, really making things happen. So Araura is fan-driven, fan-funded, all that kind of good stuff. Consider supporting the Patreon so I can do more stuff like this and show you all kind of the ins and outs of how I do things. So until then, I'll see y'all soon. Thank you for believing in Araura, and I appreciate you all. Y'all have a great night.